the letter of the law, because a lot of people say that's their main thing. It's like, oh, well, the off-gridders or the people who are coming here now, or certain people think that they're above the law and they don't have to follow the rules. That's not what anybody's saying who is talking about the Constitution. The Constitution is of the land. The LLIC, which is what I've coined it, will empower individuals by together learning what the law is and rights are, where law and rights come from, and how to ensure your rights are recognized and appreciated. The difference, one of the few of the things that are going to be talked about here or presented is the difference or the different forms of law, example, natural law, common law, civil law, and maritime law, which is the important one, word definition, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, local, state, and federal law as they pertain to and emerge from their assumed application. Meaning, how are these people, what are you saying, and Vince said it best, if you know Vince, he said, what are you telling me as an American I don't have the right to do? Because if it doesn't harm anybody, if you're not bringing me a victim, then I haven't harmed anyone, which means I have the right to do whatever it is that I'm claiming, that you're claiming I don't have the right. So some of the terms that are defined as is defined in Black's Law Dictionary, which is the dictionary that the courts or maritime law uses in the court. One of the words being person. I did confirm in Black's Law Dictionary that in Black's Law Dictionary it still states that a person is a human being. There's some conjecture that says that a person, the word person as defined in Black's Law Dictionary, is a corporation. So there is still some misconceptions about that because this is from the source. Right, that which is proper under law, morality or ethics, no right from wrong. Something that is due to a person by just claim, legal guarantee, or moral principle. A power, privilege, or immunity secured to a person by law, the right to dispose of one's estate. So we have rights, and we grow up thinking that we know them, or thinking that they're there whenever we want to just pluck them out and put them in our back pocket, but they're not. They're actually in somebody's drawer, and they're giving them away. They're kind of handing them to them. They're permitting you to have rights, and that's not what a right is. Sovereign, which is another word that's been thrown around a lot, and people have been mistaken it for a lot of different things. It's an adjective, the first term, sovereign, adjective of a state, characteristic of or endowed with supreme authority, sovereign, from the Latin sovereign or super reign, above rule, basically, and law. The regime that orders human activities and relations through systematic application. Notice it said the regime. It didn't say God or anything of the sort. It didn't have a natural intonation there. It's the regime that orders human activities and relations through systematic application of the force of politically organized society or through social pressure, backed by force. In such a society, the legal system respect and obey the law. Or the aggregate of legislation, judicial precedents, and accepted legal principles, the body of authoritative grounds of judicial and administrative action, especially the body of rules, standards, and principles that the courts of a particular jurisdiction apply in deciding controversies brought before them. So those are a few of the terms that we're going to go over, but we're going to open those up and delve real deep into what those actually mean. And Roscoe Pound said natural law is the overarching law that all laws derive from, as it is revived today, seeks to organize the ideal element in law to furnish a critique of old received ideals and give us a basis for formulating new ones, and to yield a reasoned canon of values and a technique of applying it. I have free on here and a couple other ones. Liberty, I'm going to go through liberty for you.
Can we put those online somewhere so we can all have them?
I am going to do that. Liberty is defined, liberty is defined freedom from restraint, the power of acting as one thinks fit, without any restraint or control except from the laws of nature, not the laws of man. That's what liberty is. There's a couple other terms I'm not going to go over today. This is my personal thing. If I'm going to be talking to people, this has been repeated to me over and over again, and I just can't have it anymore. Personally, Michael Morris, my personal preference for conversation, things that I personally do not want to hear and will probably cause me to effectively change topics or end the conversation. Quote, we don't make the law, but we have to obey it. That's called a justification. It's when you make a right or wrong. Basically, you're saying, I don't have the right to say what I'm saying or do what I'm doing. It's always been done this way. It's another thing I just don't want to hear anymore. I've heard for 32 years and I'm pretty tired of it. Who are we to change things? Who are we to change things? I've heard that a lot, believe it or not. or any variation of justification or excuse for the application of unjust and or immoral law upon the people in the past, present, or future. So yeah, I just don't like to be told that immoral laws are moral or that I should follow an immoral law. And I'm here to let everybody know that here today that you are under no moral obligation to follow unjust laws. So, and that's that. And then with regard to my rights or with regard to my rights or the learning law class, I don't want to hear what I am supposedly not allowed to do. So that's just my personal thing. That's just my personal thing. It's based on my right, your right, and I'm going to turn the floor over to somebody else. That's just basically my whole thing is preserving rights, basically.
What's the definition of tyranny?
The definition, I have that. All right. I took it off.
Taxation without representation.
Somebody, I was pressured. We're in a little bit of a rush, but I did have tyranny on there. But it basically
pressure you into following laws.
It basically, the definition of tyranny basically is the usurp of rights. It's somebody infringing.
Oppression by government.
If infringing.
Yes.
How many times have we been infringed, our rights been infringed by another individual?
You look at it like this. The Declaration of Independence says that the government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed. When the government takes unjust powers without the consent of the governed, they are stealing from the population their rights, and that is tyranny.
I also have the Constitution and the Bill of Rights right here for anybody who wants it. I can email it to you, I can Facebook it to you, I can copy and paste it to you. If you really need me to, I'll write it down for you. That's how important this is. And a lot of people have been saying, oh, well, we need to talk about this, we need to talk about that. If we get our rights recognized and appreciated, then all this other code enforcement, the kind of corruption is self-evident, but all of it falls apart. They don't have the legal right or the moral right to tell you what to do, especially on your land. They kind of have that ability on public property, not on your land. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys are all welcome to stand up here, tell us your story, whatever you think.
If you've been watching the news, there's just been a big breakthrough. You know, for example, Alamosa made a law against panhandling, and there's just been a breakthrough about it as an infringement of free speech in Boulder. And so they don't, publicly even, they can't.
Oh, that's one major thing we're working against is the fact that not only do the American people, the average American person, I'll give you a staggering statistic. 56% of Americans don't know what the three branches of government are. I've known since I was 7 years old. So, not only don't the public know their rights, but the police don't know your rights, and they're not required to uphold them in a court of law. By their oath of affirmation of the Constitution, they are, but they're not in their office.
Well, they play on your naivety too.
I would say they play on our ignorance, because this information is here. The internet it's like here, come get it. If you actively see something and you don't take heed to it, that's ignoring something, and by definition, ignorance. You're ignoring the case. So like I said, I'm going to turn it over to anybody.